You can remove me.
Okay, it's okay, Jungni.
Speaker view. So, and we're live now. Good morning, all our fans and audience from Manila Bulletin's Tech News column. This is Wilson Chua. I'm the Big Data and Tech columnist for Manila Bulletin. And with me today are the developers for the contact tracing app by the Red Cross. And all these guys are ex-Chica people. And so let me just give a brief background to what we are covering today. And really, if you look at our shared screen, this one is from Johns Hopkins Coursera course on COVID-19 contact tracing. So while the incubation times here, if you can see the mouse, is typically between 14 to 24 days, the average time for an infected person to show their symptoms is really 5 days from here to here. But take note, a person is already infectious 2 days before they show the symptoms. So this is the pre-symptomatic stage. This means that any contact tracing should only has about a 3-day window to identify and quarantine all the possible infected people. 3 days. Take note, 3 days. And this is the bad news. This is a chart done by Andre Martin Diamante. You can follow him at Twitter @_Dre. He's a data analytics professional based in Melbourne, Australia. So he took the data from the DOH data drop and analyzed all the average time it takes from onset of symptoms, collection of samples, laboratory receipt of the sample, testing, release of result, confirmation of result. All of this takes more than 17 days, guys. And take note, contact tracing, according to DOH standards before, I'm not sure if it has been changed recently, but as we know it before, confirmation starts, the start of contact tracing starts once the confirmation of results are given back to the LGU. So in those 17 days, what happens? This is what happens. That infected person will infect 2 more people. This is assuming R naught of 2.0. And these 2 people will infect 2 more people each. So it becomes 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, 16 becomes 32, 32 becomes 64. So you can see that there is this vicious cycle. As you delay contact tracing, more infected people show up. And more infected people means increased workload sa backlog ng testing, which further delays confirmation of results. And so therefore, contact tracing should theoretically start here at the onset of symptoms. Now, not to take away any of the thunder that's going to be presented by Mr. Gio Bacaresa later on, I'm now going to hand over the screen sharing to him. Take it away, Gio.
Wilson, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'll just share my screen, no? So let me know if you guys are seeing that. Are you guys seeing the screen?
It's loading, yeah? We're good?
Okay, so we are, alam po namin na problema talaga po yung contact tracing, and it's a very critical part of the pandemic response kasi the more people that you contact trace from a positive case, the more you actually control the contagion, because you'll be able to, one, test them, and you'll be able to isolate that person. No? Especially now that we're coming into the new normal, nag-open up na po yung mga communities, and the more testing and contact tracing becomes really, really critical as more people get back to work, get back using public transportation, buying groceries. This is really becoming critical. Pero alam po namin na if we follow the normal manual contact tracing, matagal talaga. And if you factor in pa yung testing lead times, baka hindi na po effective yung contact tracing. So what we're really doing is, how can we help make sure that contact tracing becomes as fast as possible so we can get those people who have been exposed, tested, and treated immediately, no? So, ang hiling na po namin po sa inyo is punta po kayo sa Google Play and App Store. I-download nyo po yung RC143 so that when you are at risk of having been in contact with someone who was positive, pwede po kayong tumawag at magpapatest sa Red Cross po. So, once you've downloaded it, all you need to really do is just turn on and the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and then leave it on. So, you know, if ECQ don't leave home, ngayon with the new normal, don't leave home without RC143 because dyan po kayo mapoprotektahan. At kung sakaling you have a possibility of being in contact with someone who is positive, pwede po kayong magpapatest with Red Cross. So quickly lang on what RC143 does, don't worry, konti lang po tong PowerPoint natin because we will go through a demo. Unang-una po, this is a contact tracing and exposure notification po. So if you wear this, if you turn this on and then makapag-detect siya ng other users, and then if that other user, you know, knock on wood, becomes positive at some point, you will see your risk meter go up, and then you have an opportunity to contact Red Cross. So in the second page, in the middle of the page, you see that it's a direct consultation and emergency communication with Red Cross. And then moving forward po, we'll have a smart navigation. Isipin nyo para siyang Waze, pero instead of traffic, inaano namin kung ano yung mga hotspot area, so ma-avoid nyo po yon. So yan yung basic features po ng RC143. Don't worry, we'll show you. I know boring yung PowerPoint, but we'll show you how it works, no? Besides that po, the app is free, walang bayad to, it's free. But not only that, one of the more important ones, alam namin na hindi lahat merong data packages. So free din po yung data. So don't worry about data charges when you use this app. So this is a very important one because I know the penetration dito, although nag-improve, hindi pa rin lahat merong data. So makaka-afford ng data. Also, we've been available on the Google Play since the beginning around Feb. But lately, we're also now available in the App Store. So we reach out to a bigger part of our community po. And of course, everyone is concerned about the privacy and security. We can talk more about that, but we assure you that we are compliant with privacy, and we collect the minimum amount of information that's needed for contact tracing. And we can talk more about that later, no? And I'm here with Melvin, who's one of our lead engineers, to talk more about what's behind the hood. So simply lang po yung app. You will have a risk exposure. Pag wala kang possibility of having been in contact with someone who's positive, it's green. Pero po, if at some point, isang contact nyo, sorry, hindi ako Tagalog, sa Bisaya ako. So, Tagalog sa may contact. So, merong
Exposure.
Once you have a contact that's nag-turn positive, magto-turn to to orange. And because of that, now you can contact Red Cross. And how do we do this? We use our algorithms and we use network graph algorithms as well. So if makikita nyo yung sa red, kung contact nyo po yan na naging positive, if you are a direct contact, mag-orange po kayo. And if you are in direct contact, meaning hindi po kayo parang physically naging malapit doon sa positive, but possible na naging malapit kayo doon sa naging first half ng contact niya, then you will turn yellow po. So that's pretty much how it works. Pero siguro tama na yung pagsasalita ko. We'll probably go through a quick demo para makita talaga nila how this works, no?
Yay, demo!
So I'll just stop the share for a sec. We'll quickly jump to the demo. Okay. Nakita po nyo yung VLC. So
Yep.
I'll quickly turn the contact tracing, how it works, no? So So I'll just pause it. So we have three phones, no? On the left you have an iPhone, and you have two Androids on the middle and the right. This is just a demo, so we will show you what happens when one of your contact becomes positive. So what we'll do is we'll tag the user on the left as positive. And then tingnan nyo po, pag mag-tag na siyang positive, what will happen to the contacts? So nag-tag na positive yung nasa left. Okay? Positive siya. For example, nagpa-test po siya sa Red Cross, tapos from the findings, nag-positive siya. Immediately, nakikita nyo kaagad yung sa middle, nag-turn to orange na po siya. So if you look at the other contact then, it turns orange as well. So now what can you do once you have this? Then you have now the ability to contact Red Cross. So we have once you contact Red Cross, you can either do it through Viber, and we have a bot that will help you there get your symptoms, and then but it will pass on to a Red Cross healthcare professional so that you'll be scheduled for testing. You can also call po Red Cross, because there's the 1158 hotline is always available. So it's a very simple app po. Nothing to it's not a game, it's not interactive, but it really protects you, because once we find that you're a possible you've been in contact with a case or a positive case, there's a possibility po na pwede kayong positive, pwede po kayong may COVID at pwede na po kayong nakakahawa. As Wilson said earlier, pinaka-importante po nito is dapat ma-test ka kaagad para malaman kung positive ka, dapat ma-isolate ka kaagad para hindi mo na mahawa yung iba. So we stop the spread of the disease. So that's a very short demo of how it works. One of the things also that we wanted to show, because although this is probably the interest of those that are more techy, is it's been very hard to make Android and the iOS system kind of detect each other. It's a known issue, no? But I think the team with Melvin and the rest of the guys that are working hard behind this, 24/7, yung kayod po nila, na-solve po nila yan. So I'll just show you another demo that shows this interoperability. So again, we have iOS on the left, and then we have Android on the right.
Gio, siguro we should mention that to be able to log in or register to the system, we collect the minimum information. So the minimum information is actually the mobile number. And we also apply a one-time PIN so that we are sure that the person's mobile number is legit and is unique. And thanks to our friends in Smart and Globe, aside from making mobile data free for the app to be used, even the OTP, the one-time PIN, the SMS, they also shouldered that. And yun lang yung kailangan sa mobile number. And the reason why that's what we are getting, so that even if the person who is COVID positive or high risk, if they have discomfort, for example, in contacting Red Cross or the labs, Red Cross can actually contact them and probe and ask for details. So yun yung dahilan. And we don't get the name, we don't get the address, we don't get any other information. Sige, Sir Gio, you can go ahead.
No, that's a really, really good point, Melvin. Thank you for sharing that. So to reiterate what Melvin said, we just collect the right amount of information to be able to do the contact tracing. So it's really just the number, no? And then we pass that on to Red Cross, since Red Cross is the testing facility for them to actually take action. So going back to this, this is a very quick demo. Android, that's the Bluetooth. Makikita nyo kaagad, 0 po yan. So hindi pa sa nagka-detect ng contact. Nakikita nyo na nagde-detect po silang dalawa. So an Android on the right and an iPhone on the left detect each other po. So this has been questioned kasi sa technical communities na yung difficulty of those two operating systems to detect each other. But we're
Gio,
able to solve it.
yeah,
Yes.
Gio, can I ask? I know for a fact that Apple iOS, if you go to the background, if your app becomes a background process, it stops the Bluetooth. Have you resolved that issue yet?
It's a known limitation, Sir Wilson. That's a very good question. Because for the most part, if the app is in the foreground, meaning that's the app that the user is seeing, everything is fine and dandy. In Android, we don't have that problem, that background issue. But in Apple, there are certain permissions that are allowed to have Bluetooth active. So for example, Bluetooth headset. So you can be listening to Spotify or YouTube, and then you can have the phone on sleep mode, but the audio still continues. So unless that is the kind of permission that you have, Apple will not enable you to run Bluetooth in the background. So in order to circumvent that, because that's a real issue, and we're not actually collecting audio, we're not streaming audio, what the team did was we created background services that runs on certain intervals. So what happens is every minute, Apple, our application has a background service that will scan. So it's similar to what we're doing actually when you're in the foreground, because in the foreground, we don't want to drain your battery as well. We don't always update data in the cloud because Smart and Globe will be worried about that. Imagine if we have the entire Philippines download the app, everyone is uploading their data. That's not the most efficient thing to do. So what we're doing is every minute, whether you're in the foreground or in the background, we scan. And then the data that we collect, we make sure that it's anonymized and it's small, and then we save that in your local database.
So store
Now,
and forward. So kahit na
yeah,
walang internet, it will still collect the data and then transfer it to the server once the user gets back to internet coverage area.
yes, sir. Because we need to craft and design the application based on the Philippine context. Unlike in Singapore, wherein mobile data is fantastic, there's almost no dead spot. In the Philippines, that's not the reality. So we'll have people going out in public. Sometimes they're online, sometimes they're offline. So those are two situations that we need to handle. So one of the design considerations is to be able to operate while offline and then systematically and intentionally upload the saved data online when if and when mobile data or Wi-Fi becomes available. So it's not as efficient as we would want it to be. There will be gaps between the intervals of scanning in iOS in the background, but it's good enough. It's better than not being able to handle that situation, because we'll have people and they'll have their phone in their pockets and they'll be traveling and they are in contact with other people. So not everyone is looking at their phone at every given point in time, and we need to handle that situation because whether they're looking at the phone or not, they are in direct contact with other people. So that's how we handle that situation.
All right, thank you. Gio, back to you.
Yes. Okay. So thank you, Melvin. I think I think you can show the ingenuity of the team, no? Yung ingenuity na nagamit namin sa Chika and until with their present endeavors now. Nakikita nyo talaga that we try to adapt this technology to the Philippine situation, no? Kasi we're not in Singapore, we're not in the US where everything is the data is available and it's affordable for everyone, but not in the Philippines. So we really think about our customers and our users in this case. So going back, I'll just share a bit of a screen. Wala na.
Sir, can you go back to the video? Kasi we shared yung
Yes,
direct contact.
sorry. Hold on, Melz, I'll go back to the video.
Kasi yung pinakita kanina ni Sir Gio, that's the direct contact. So can you play it, sir, so that we can show also other scenarios?
So we'll change this to another phone, and you can also show how the indirect contact work also. And maybe Melz, you can explain once ma-detect niya, no? So nakita nyo, it's another phone waiting for detection. Dim the light, so makita nyo kaagad, boom.
Ayan. So in this case, what happens is the phone on the left actually saw two people. So you'll see that the direct contact is two. And then the phone on the right is a new phone, and it got in contact with the iPhone on the left. So now it has one direct contact and one indirect contact. In this situation, the phones, they only have counts. They don't have the mobile number of the other users involved. And that's part of the design consideration. We only want numbers, statistics as much as possible. And then when it comes to direct contact and the indirect contact, we try to anonymize them. Each phone does not even know the mobile number of the nearby users within their proximity. It's anonymized. We are assigning a system-generated ID. Sige, Sir Gio, you can proceed with the video.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But
Sir, may isa pa. I think you could play it one more time. We'll change.
There.
So now this scenario is the second phone earlier in the demo. Now saw the third phone. In this setup, they will scan and then they will detect each other. And then you'll notice here, there's going to be an update there. See,
Oops, sorry.
so what happened there is that in the last slide, these two phones are now direct contacts. So yung indirect contact na relationship has already been updated. And it's important because people will bump into each other, and we want to make sure that the veracity of the data and the information that we're providing them is accurate. So it updates in real time, and we are designing the system in such a way that it does not consume a lot of your battery, a lot of your phone resources, and even the mobile data, because we had to have it approved by Smart and Globe. So we had to provide them with an estimate on a daily basis how much bandwidth each user is going to use. But fortunately, we were able to streamline that, and that's why we got the free to use setup by the friends in the telco industry. Sige, sir, back to you, Sir Gio.
Melz, thank you for that, Melz. So hopefully we were able to show that one, nagde-detect po yung Android and iOS, at saka na-explain po namin yung difference po ng direct contact, which is really proximity based. If you've been in the definition of a contact, no, or you've been in 1 meter to 2 meter, and within 10 to 15 minute contact, you'll be a direct contact. But we also don't stop there, no, kasi if even if you're not physically in contact, but there's a possibility because you've been in contact with someone who's been in physical contact with a positive case, yan po yung indirect contact. At nakikita nyo that once yung indirect contact naging physically malapit doon sa isang positive case po, nagiging direct contact po yan. So hopefully we're able to show that, and I'll just go quickly back to the slides. Give me 1 second. Going back to the slides. So yan po yung konting demo po namin. So actually that's it po. We just wanted to make sure that the message is sa RC143 po, may laban tayo nito. Okay, even while we go back to the new normal, we go back to our work, we go back to shopping and all that stuff. Meron po tayong laban because we have something that will warn you if you've been in contact with someone, but not only that, you have a direct line po to the Red Cross, so that you can, if ever you've been in contact with a positive case, you can be tested, then you can be, knock on wood, walang mangyari, then you can be free, or you can also, if ever meron, then you can be isolated, treated, and everything that's needed so that you can heal, no? So yan lang po, thank you. But before everything po, I just wanted to say thanks to all the volunteers, no? Kami ni Melvin, we're just a small part of a big group of volunteers po that are giving their time for this, in developing this po. So thank you sa lahat. This was when we launched, and this is when we actually had our iOS. So I just wanted to end this also with a short video, Wilson, if it's okay.
Sure,
just
go ahead.
What this is all about.
Mm-hmm.
So hold on, give me 1 second. I'll turn on the video again to VLC. Oops, nawala ng VLC.
It's good also while you're doing that, it's good also to highlight the fact that you took into consideration the 15-minute exposure. So nababawasan mo yung mga false positives and false negatives.
Yeah.
Yes, and we hold on, hindi ko I'll just hindi ko na makita si VLC sa share screen. And then,
While you're doing that, we also would like to acknowledge the participation of the officers and founders of the United Pangasinan ICT Group, headed by its president and founder, Sir Ed Casulia and Tsar Umang. Good morning, guys! Okay, balik tayo, Sir
Good morning.
Gio.
okay, ito, sandali lang to. Ito yung parang commercial break po namin.
We're heading out into a world with COVID-19 still around us. This means mask wearing, social distancing, protective gear, compulsive hygiene, and sanitation will all become permanent. This means our self-discipline must continue for our families and our communities. Stay home. And if really necessary to head out, take all the necessary precautions. We must also carry with us the best available technology to outsmart COVID-19. RC143 is a free mobile app that you can use for self-reporting, emergency, communication, and navigating away from the risks when going to the outside world. Just download and install on your device. Don't worry, because RC143 is free to use. Next, turn on Bluetooth and mobile data or Wi-Fi, and you are good to go. RC143 comes with an exposure risk meter, which monitors your risk based on your proximity with other users. Green means you're safe. Yellow means moderate exposure, but you must quarantine. Orange means high exposure, and you're encouraged to seek medical assistance and testing. Red means you've tested positive, as confirmed by the Red Cross, and must isolate for everyone's safety. Automatically, this will alert other app users who have come in close proximity to you. Don't worry, as your health status, name, number, and other data will not be visible to other app users. In fact, RC143 just keeps getting better and better as more and more people use it to help us navigate away from high-risk areas and to keep safe. Need COVID-19 testing or consultation with RC143? You're just a click away. Let's go viral to go against the virus. May laban tayo. Download RC143 now.
Yay! So before we go to Q&A, I just like to do some reactions about the presentation. First of all, I like the fact that it's free to use for data. So kudos to your team for being able to secure that. So whenever people are using your app, they're not really charged for it. I like also the simple and clean graphics. So it makes it easier to use. And what else? I like the fact that you were able to overcome the limitations of interoperability with Apple and the Android platform. And so with that, we open to questions. Sir Ed, Sir Tsar, any reactions?
Yes. Actually, ito na yung pang-apat natin na review, no, sa
Yes,
mga
the
contact
fourth
tracing.
one.
And actually, I just downloaded the app and installed it. Less than a minute na-install ko na siya. So, kasi maliit lang, it's just 7.5 MB of file size na. And siguro yung nakita ko, upon opening, meron siya mga reminders. It says here, well, that should be on, the Bluetooth always on, and the location and Wi-Fi is always on. It's like an important reminder. Now, my question is, if the Wi-Fi is not on, it's not connected to the internet, I understand it does like an offline operation, right? Now, once it's online, and then it starts to synchronize. So, having the Bluetooth on and the rest of, is that a minimum operation for the app? Parang gano'n.
That's correct, sir. Because
Mhm.
sometimes, even me, for example po, I deliberately turn on mobile data and Wi-Fi. Kasi pwedeng free si RC143, but my other
Mhm.
apps in my phone like Facebook or yung kung iOS or Android OS update, when your mobile data is on, it will run eh. So
Tama po.
we are trying to anticipate that situation, and at the same time we're also trying to anticipate situation wherein even if the user is willing to turn on Wi-Fi and mobile data but they're in transit, the app should work even with just Bluetooth.
That's good. So, they're not worried na, let's say, naka-off yung, pati yung location, right? Kahit naka-off?
Yes, sir.
Or
Actually,
that's really important?
location is actually optional because
No.
when we
Okay.
talked with Google, where we had this approved last March, that's one of the first advice that Google told us. The more permission that you ask, the more it becomes barrier for users. And if we really
Tama po.
want to get most people in,
Mm.
we should make the optional permission optional para kung ayaw nila, they can turn it off. And they also mentioned that even if you turned on location permission, it's provisional. So you can change your mind, then you can turn it off later. So for you to design a system that's directly dependent on location, it has to be deliberate unless you have a map like Waze or Grab where you really need that. That's the only time that you ask for that permanent permission. But in our case, we don't need that. Bluetooth proximity is the minimum. If and when your location is available, thank you for contributing to the information. That will help us identify hotspots, but it's not a barrier for contact tracing to happen.
So siguro ang comment ko doon is baka kasi ma-confuse sila dahil meron siyang parang it's a must reminder dito sa app upon opening. So baka maging hindi ko alam kung deterrent siya or ano. Siguro may turn na optional o ganun para lang malinaw. So just
we'll have it checked, sir. Yung iba kasing prompt diyan, actually si Google and si Apple yung nagdi-display. So some of the messages we don't really have direct control to. For example, pag mic, kaya hindi namin in-install yung mga some of the other options eh. When you ask for a mic, even if you're not recording, the operating system dialogue is this application is recording. So it really confuses people. We've made calling apps na hindi naman talaga nagre-record, pero yung parang default na communication ng operating system, recording. So that is a barrier and might create confusion.
Thanks for the feedback, Sir Ed. No, and actually encourage you guys to take that for a spin, test it out, and if you do find anything, you have.
We'll talk with our contacts and friends in Google. Baka nga merong way to update the system notices. Kasi totoo yan, barrier yan. If people look at the permission and they don't feel secure or confident about it, they will uninstall. And that's not what we want to do. We want to ensure that the app is only doing what it's supposed to do.
All right. Okay, so how about you, Tsar? Do you have any reactions or insights to share?
I think isa sa nakita ko sa kanya is actually parang yung iba nating nakita na before, just like with the Novid. Very very minimal yung requirement niya for the data ng tao. So it's actually a good thing. As to privacy. Ang parang point of identity mo lang is your phone number. So that's a good thing. I'm actually looking into the aspect ng how could private organizations to integrate it with their system.
Good question. Yeah.
It's a really good question, and we realize so there are two things that we're doing in the background besides the tech. One, of course, we're working directly with Red Cross. We're also reaching out to the LGUs because at the end of the day, sila po yung nagko-contact trace. So sila po yung tumatawag. They have the health officers per barangay po. Sila po yung nagko-contact trace. And for the LGUs that are interested, we are willing to work with them. And we're actually doing pilots with several, with Nabotas. other stuff, no, and we'll launch something within the next 2 weeks po siguro, Wilson. This will be good news for you because we'll be able to shorten that time that you guys are on target.
Yeah.
Talaga natin would be 3 days, but we actually want to make it shorter than 3 days if we can.
Yep.
On the enterprise, but we've been talking with several big enterprises, no, because hindi lang po to for concern, ng mga LGUs. A lot of companies are also concerned because they're having workers come back, no. So we are in talk with different enterprises. Of course, different enterprises would want their own kind of flavor of this.
Dashboards, customized
Dashboards. Every enterprise has their own process of how they actually deal with the new normal. One of the things we're doing is, of course, the basic core functionality, the contact tracing, will be made available to the enterprise. There'll be different privacy matters because the enterprises probably would require their employees to parang siguro self-report symptoms and all that stuff. So we are tweaking that on a per company level. So we're also actually, Juni, I think I'm allowed to say this, but we're actually also going to be launching wearables for the enterprises. So these wearables will automatically already measure other your temperature, your the heart rate and all that stuff, but it will also parang address some enterprises po na hindi sila pwedeng magdala ng smartphones, for example, in the factory or in the kitchens and all that stuff. The wearables po would address that because it will still be able to do the Bluetooth detection, which will feed into our contact tracing. So enterprises po that we're reaching out to enterprises are reaching out to us, and if there are companies that actually are concerned about how they will, how they can handle this new normal, how they can get their businesses up and running again, at the same time protect their workers and themselves, we're happy to talk to them so that we can tweak this to their needs.
And so, Gio, let me relay a question from our Facebook page coming from Oliver Cam, a good friend and supporter of Project Bus. He says, can you explore possible partnerships with Novid app development team to license the use of their ultrasonic proximity detection technology? A bit of a background, as you know, Bluetooth will penetrate walls, and so there might be false positive. So the group by Professor Po Shen Lo decided to add ultrasonic sensors in addition, because ultrasound will not penetrate walls, and so therefore you have more accurate list of exposures. So what do you say to that, Gio?
Yeah, we're happy to talk to Novid and see how we can integrate. No, but no promises, though. I think to us, since this pandemic has been is really, you have to keep up with the virus. So one of the things that we really look at when we evaluate partners is how easy it is to integrate, how easy it is to develop. I'm sure you guys are familiar, Wilson, in the tech side. Now, those are practical considerations that we do. But of course, we're happy to look at other technologies that can help, because we believe that it can't be solved by just one company. I think this will be solved by a community of like-minded individuals who are selflessly wanting to see how we can help our country, our communities, not only get rid of the virus but live in this new environment habang wala pang vaccine.
Right. And
yeah,
so
from a tech standpoint, I'd like to comment. I think we have to acknowledge and give a hats up to Novid, because they're solving a particular use case and problem. The problem that they're trying to solve is actually distance. So the problem that they're trying to do is they want to improve the veracity of data. When you say that it's a direct contact, there's a science behind it, and that's good. But there's a balance between permission and that. And those are things that we're considering. If and when there are talks with them, I think as a tech person, I'd welcome that. And we encourage other people to also look at other problems that we're not addressing, and also work on that. Trace Together did a very bold move by making their solution open source. So that's another option that the other people who want to throw their hat into this solution finding in COVID important. But it's important that we collaborate, and then we also put the interest of our data subjects, of the users, first above anything else. So yeah, we look forward if we can work with Novid.
Yeah.
The updates
Right.
in iOS and Android, that's always a welcome technology, because this is not a silver bullet. So we need to continue to work on this and improve it.
Yep. Several reactions to that, Gio. In Singapore, where I'm based now, they took care of one issue, which is penetration and coverage. We need to get at least 60 to 70% coverage, and not everybody has a smartphone. So what the Singapore government is doing is they are now going to give away, manufacture, buy, and give away the first tranche of 300,000 tokens that will work
Those
with
are the wearables, no? Parang Fitbit.
the wearables. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you search online, there are wearables that are only $7 each. So that may be one future roadmap, make it work with
Actually,
wearables. Yeah.
Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, Wilson, we will be launching one hopefully in the next couple of weeks, no, for the enterprise. So I'm not in liberty to say who, but you'll find out when that launches.
Ooh, exciting.
I will be doing the wearables as well, because we do, like Singapore, we've been working with the mobile community in the Philippines since yung chika pa na wala pang mga smartphones. So it's still a big problem. So we try to address those only those without smartphones, but even those in the workplace that are not, even if they have smartphones, their work environment does not allow them to have smartphones.
Yeah. We just got 2 hearts from that statement. So that should give you an indication. Dalawang puso, pinusuan tayo.
Thank you po.
Okay, so now very quickly, the same things that we asked of Stay Safe and other apps. Number one, if this is a work for Red Cross, do you have an actual deed of donation, donating the app to Red Cross so that the ownership is formally with the Red Cross?
Actually, it's a Red Cross app, sir.
So there's no need for a donation.
Yes, it's a Red Cross app.
Number two, where is the data currently housed? Is it in AWS, outside of the country, or in country?
It's currently hosted in AWS, sir. So outside of the country, but we're working with DICT.
Yeah.
So
DICT
the data
regarding-
controller is DICT.
Not yet, sir.
Company.
Currently, Red Cross is the data controller, but we do have a roadmap on moving the platform to the ACT. In fact, because the backend for this is expensive, so we worked with our friends in Amazon, and fortunately for them, if the purpose of the platform or the system is for COVID, they have allocation to make that free, and we work with the ICT to get that resource, to get that endorsement, because it cannot be a private entity. It has to be government. It has to be legit, so that they can make it free.
Yeah. So to be very clear, let me confirm. The data is not under private control. It is with government or Red Cross control.
It's with Red Cross, sir. That's correct.
Right. Thank you. And you mentioned working with an LGU, Navotas. Can you share a few anecdotes about how your experience or how Navotas is being helped by the app so far?
Okay. It's important that when you create a solution, that you keep the end users in mind. And first, one of our users is Red Cross, because we want to enable their testing facility to be able to inform the people. But the other side of the users is actually the LGUs and the actual people on the ground. So we did a pilot back in March, and Sir Toby was actually very gracious to endorse us. So the initial users in RC143 back in March are actually the folks from Navotas. In fact, the first feedback that we got back in March is, where is the iOS app? So
okay,
because we had some constituents from Navotas who are iOS users. So they felt discriminated or disenfranchised, which is why we work diligently to get them on board. So far, they like the fact that it is free to use and that they can use it even if they don't have mobile data. And they also like the fact that they can contact directly with Red Cross without having to scour the internet or look for the mobile number. So that's the initial feedback that we got. Uh, I think right now we are also working with Navotas again with in light of the Apple approval. So we're coordinating them again in their next steps in order to address the issues that we're having.
So I was kind of hoping that we would have some sort of success stories by now where the app was instrumental in helping the health officer or the RISU to do very rapid contact tracing.
Navotas does have access to a web tool, and they were actually one of the pilot LGUs that we exposed this web tool, because in Red Cross is national level, so they can see all users of RC143 regardless of your location. But for Navotas, we shared it to them, wherein the information that they'll be able to backtrace and use is only for their constituents, for only for their users. I think Navotas is using this tool in conjunction with their other tools. They have another tool that they're using for contact tracing. But as far as did it help them reduce the back tracing part from 1 week to 5 days, we currently don't have that information on hand. So what we can tell you is that RC143 web tool is one of the tools that Navotas has, and they're using it in conjunction with other tools that they're using, together with the manual paper and pen records
Well,
that their contact tracers are actually doing.
So I want to add to that, Wilson. This to us, this the tech is really just a tiny component of this. No, to work with the LGUs and even enterprise. Marami po yung ano. So from testing, the swabbing, the delivery of the test kits, the Red Cross, the results po. And if it's in your slide, Wilson, you've showed in the second slide na mahaba po yan ngayon, because I think to credit all the testing facilities and the LGUs out there, we've never had this thing before.
Yeah.
So
True.
everyone's trying to really, it's amazing what the community has achieved, no, at such a short time. Not just here, but all over the world, no. But we are, constantly working to improving that. But just to let you know, we have an initiative with them, and I was also hoping, Wilson, that we'll be able to show the results of those initiatives in Navotas, because we are really targeting shortening that whole end-to-end process, for which we are just a component of that, no? Kasi a lot of this, in fact, the major part of this will be done by the LGU, the actual contact tracing, the actual calling the people. What we do is we really help in terms of identifying those contacts. We help shorten that. But beyond that, also, just to let you know, we're also helping Red Cross also shorten not just the contact trace, but the testing, the delivery of results. And hopefully by next week, we'll...
There's some impending good news coming up.
Yes. So that will, you'll be the first person that I'll reach out to, Wilson, because I know your target is 3 days, and we want to beat 3 days, even less than 3 days.
So I think we have another question coming up from Sir Ed. Sir Ed, you have the line.
Sir Gio, Sir Melvin, I was curious about the implementation of the BOTAS, because when we were last in dialogue with LGUs, the question is, in collaboration with Red Cross, is it an executive decision, or they need to have an approval with the council, Sangguniang Council? Or
I think it has.
How's the process?
I think because we will be sharing data, it's very important to make sure that we follow data privacy protocols as well. So for Navotas, we talked with the leadership team and we actually had to go through data sharing agreements, and then we needed to review only the information that's relevant to Navotas. Because otherwise, for example, if the clinical information of the patient was directly submitted to Red Cross, it was not collected through Nabotas, and that user is also not a Nabotas constituent, we might be violating their data privacy. So we had to go through that, and we had to ensure that we're talking to the correct people. So it just cannot be someone. We had to talk to someone from Mayor Toby's team. I think they identified the head of IT in Nabotas. And then we had to go through the legal framework. So we had to exchange data sharing agreements so that we are both protected.
So, Sir Melvin, the MOA with the mayor is good enough. They didn't need to, sign a resolution coming from the Legislative Council.
I'm not
On the user.
I'm not sure if they went through the Legislative Council, but as far as I know, the direct communication was with Mayor Toby's team. I'm not sure if the Legislative Council was well represented there. And for me, because I'm technical and I'm the data protection officer, my direct point of contact was actually their head of IT.
Okay. Because one of the feedback we received is the reluctance of some of the LGUs in getting to learn different contact tracing is that they're waiting for, or they actually they want to follow the IATF endorsement on what app to use. But even that direction is also not sure if it's already clear to them.
Yes.
So here in Pangasinan, I don't think we have a town or city that's currently active in using contact tracing, and there's seems to be a confusion with how this tracing app should be proliferated among the LGUs.
You know, Sir Ed, you talk about a really critical scenario because we even encountered that. Our problem right now is we have a lot of people who is trying to solve the same problem, and Apple and Google is doing due diligence in screening and vetting COVID applications because they don't want a proliferation of a lot of applications that's fronting to be a COVID solution when in fact it's not official or it's not actually working. So that's why for iOS it took so long for us. I think almost a month to get approved. We had the same problem because Apple was asking us for endorsement and legitimacy, and we had to come up with endorsement from local government units like Navotas, from DICT, from DOH. We had to go through that. I think in the absence of a, shall we say, an official contact tracing app, for LGUs to be able to move forward, the incumbent move is to actually have a data sharing agreement with whoever is the solutions provider. Because what that will do is it will make the other party who's providing the solution liable once data is being collected for the constituents, or for example, for your area. And you can have the ICT also review that, because I think, to your point, someone should have oversight on all these solutions provider, and ideally should be IATF. Without the presence of a parang talagang vetted solution, that's our only option. Data sharing agreement and vetting of the ICT and other agencies. If IATF can vet it, then better.
Yeah.
Yun po yung aking position regarding that na.
I want to add something. I want to add something to that. Now that we talk with the LGUs, Kami ni Melvin, we're kind of technologists, so we're not really experts in the ways of those stuff. But I think the important thing, if we take all that out, is for contact tracing to happen, testing needs to happen, because testing is the diagnosis, diba? Before you get testing. So I think and the other thing also is we're hearing that, you know, the RDTs are becoming like the default test. We just wanted to put caution in the air because I'm no expert, but I think if you look at papers out there, the rapid tests are not the gold standard for determining. They can measure if you've had it before, but the gold standard is still RT-PCR. So we still encourage enterprise and LGUs to go through the WHO and DOH protocol for quarantine and testing, and we want to be able to really help in terms of really parang shortening and accelerating that process, no? Not just the contact tracing, which helps, but also the testing process, contact tracing, getting the results. And using proper methods in these shortcuts, because you know those shortcuts will be more harmful than good, no? So we work with Red Cross. Red Cross has the facility as well as the infrastructure to do all those tests, which is a crucial part of the contact tracing because it's the diagnosis part.
Okay, so a quick shout out to all our commenters for investing their time and giving us comment. John Lee and Dennis Mendiola. So if you have time, guys, you look at the comment section and you can try to reply to them directly in the interest of saving time. Any other questions before we do a wrap up? Sir Tar, do you have any questions? Melvin, anything else to add?
Sir, just to add, what I noticed is that the LGUs are religiously following the IATF guidelines in terms of yung mga motorcycle backride, yung mga bawal. But doon ako nagtataka eh. But when they endorse a contact tracing, yun yung nahihirapan yung LGU to, it's like a technology barrier. No? Na yung mga iba, madali lang nilang sundin, however strict, however harsh kung minsan. Pero yung in terms of the technology, parang yun yung napakataas ng barrier para i-absorb ng LGU. Yun lang yung parang napansin ko.
I have a suggestion towards that. This week, my wife and I went to my regular checkup at Tan Tock Seng Hospital. And you know what happens? At the entry point, they will ask you, do you have Trace Together installed? If you don't have it installed, you cannot get in. So you need to install it. So coming up from there, maybe the RC143 can come up with a template resolution that cities can adopt or municipalities can adopt as legislation to further accelerate the installation of the software. Whatever contact tracing software is adopted nationwide, and yeah, just make it easy for LGUs to adopt to pass legislation. There you go. That's it for
Thank
me.
you. Yeah, thank you for that, Wilson. We'll take that advice, no, to help out the LGUs, make it easier. Essentially, what we're offering to the LGUs really is they have a choice now for contact tracing. Either they do it the manual way, where they have to call each and every one, or they want to do it the shorter way. Plus, the testing facilities of Red Cross, of course, no. So for the LGUs out there who needs their constituents to be tested, there's always that, no. But we will take that advice, Wilson. Like you said, we're technologists here, and we see things in but that would help po, and we will get the template done and consult with experts in government relations.
So we come to a close. That was an exciting 1 hour of getting to know RC143. I myself am a strong believer, and hindi naman sa pagbubuhat ng bangko. Let me challenge all the epidemiologists, because recently we were engaged by a large semiconductor company in Cavite, and they had one suspect COVID, and we did contact tracing technology, and in 3 hours, we were able to identify close to 37 exposed individuals. 3 hours. But that is because the semiconductor company maintained data. Everybody that rode on the shuttle bus, they have the data. down to the seat number. You go to the
Yeah.
Carinderia, they have the data. So if you have the data, you can weaponize it and you can use it in your fight against COVID. And so with that, I thank you, gentlemen, Gio, Melvin, Tar,
Thank
Ed,
you.
Junie, for joining us today. Help share this webcast.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you,
Morning,
Wilson.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And have a good morning.